What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Crash Bang Boom podcast. Today's guest is drummer Emmett Ceglia, who I caught up subbing for Swedish grind punk's Godmother on their last tour in the States. Emmett has also played a couple tribute shows with his band Semaphore, where they covered the Dillinger Escape Plan record Miss Machine in its entirety. So you know I had to talk to him about the process of studying such a crucial Chris Pennie record. I've said it before, but I was fortunate enough to see Chris live many times with Dillinger, and he's one of those guys who, like Thomas Hake, Jojo Mayer, and many more, had a very distinct voice and approach and vocabulary and all that, and all super influential. So, one of my favorite guys out there. So the Nerd Fest was bound to commence, is what I'm saying here. Also of note, Emmett also plays in Flouride, Mutilation Rites, Detach the Islands, and many more. Dude is out there hustling. Crash Bang Boom podcast can be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, podcasts, as well as Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, Luminary, and more. Check out any of the 160-plus episodes. Feel free to subscribe, give me a positive rating, a share, etc. Support is appreciated. Who dat? That's my sponsor, New Orleans Record Press. If you're looking to release vinyl for your project, check out NewOrleansRecordPress.com, where you can piece together an array of vinyl coloring and patterning and packaging and mastering and electroplating options and more. Plus, you can add it all up in the real-time quote generator, and they print 12 and 7-inch records in 150 and 180-gram variants. Check them out, and that's NewOrleansRecordPress.com. So here we go, y'all. The Brooklyn Drumming Series continues. Thanks for tuning in. Emmett Ceglia, Crash, Bang, Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right, Emmett Ceglia. I gotta feel like I gotta say it like Ceglia. I gotta give it like the James.
Hey, Ceglia, how you doing?
James Gandolfini. You gotta sound like you did a bunch of cocaine and ate too much pasta and lasagna, and you're on the verge of a heart attack. That's the way I like to say it.
What's the difference?
You have to sound slightly nasal and maybe slightly obese. It's like Ceglia. Yeah, it's good. I like saying Italian names. It makes me feel like vicariously Italian.
What you want to do, kids, is keep the back of your tongue at the roof of your soft palate, and it.
Exactly. How are you doing, man?
I'm feeling very good.
What a nice day it is. Sunny and cool and shorts and like t-shirt weather out there right now.
I know, man. It's great. Thanks for having me.
We should just be in the park right now checking out hot chicks and not inside my apartment. At least we have windows here. It's not a practice space. It's not a drab-ass practice space.
No, man. You have a beautiful apartment. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. You just got off of a little run subbing for the drummer of Godmother, not to be confused with locals Godmaker. I tend to get those confused.
But isn't a mother a maker?
Yeah,
I'm even
I know.
more confused.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same, right? Oh man,
it's a conspiracy.
How did that run go? I'm a fan of that band. Great energy, like lots of good bit of blast beats. Something that I imagine that you've worked on in various phases of your life, and lots of D-beat, blast beat, punk rock fury. I would imagine was that the title of that gig.
That's the gist. Yeah.
Right.
I was really lucky to be paired up with the Godmother guys. They're just so warm and sweet and welcoming.
All the way from Sweden.
Yeah.
Tall, and you fit the tall bill.
Exactly.
They're all
like
tall in that band.
all the same height, which is really cool because all I have to do is turn my head and there they are.
There they are.
I feel like a lot of the mathcore punk rock kind of people are like 5'8" and below, and they're pissed.
Napoleonic complex. Hence the anger.
Yeah, so you go to Dillinger pre like Kevin era, and they're all
yeah, little angry
so
people.
Funny.
I'm the outlier as well. There, tall, and I love Dillinger Escape Plan.
Look at us go, towering above the music world.
So tell me a little bit about how you even got the call to do the Godmother run, and tell me a little bit about, I guess, the preparation for that, if there was minimal preparation, and then ultimately, you're out with them for a couple weeks or whatever.
Sure. So I had just gotten off of a tour with one of the bands that I'm in. It's called Fluoride.
Okay.
They're like Philly grindcore power violence.
I listened to it.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah. So that was our first tour together, and then we had another show a couple weeks later in Philly. That was just like a one-off. And I was coming home on the bus from there, and I got a text message from a little-known Billy Reimer.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and he said, "Hey, just saw you're in Flouride. Like, that band's sick. Really, really love them. Good on you." And I was freaking out.
Yeah.
This is unprompted. Billy just out of nowhere sends me this message.
Yeah.
And then follow up, "Are you touring in October?" And I thought he meant Fluoride. And I said, "Well, we have one show, but I think we're like looking at something next year, maybe West Coast.
Uh-huh.
But essentially no.
Right.
And then he said, well, Godmother needs a drummer. Their drummer can't make it for this tour with number 12. Like, can you do it? And I went just saluting, like, yes, sir. How high? How fast? What do I have to do to make it happen?
Yeah.
And he said, good, I'll put you in touch.
Right on. And how far out from getting the confirmation that you could do it did you have the prep for ultimately playing those shows?
So I was already sort of prepping for that tour in a backdoor way.
Okay.
There's this band called Olam.
Uh-huh.
They're from Indianapolis.
Okay.
And their drummer is moving or has moved by this point maybe. And they are friends of mine from a couple of years ago from this tour I did with Arms.
Okay.
And they had called me and said, hey, our drummer can't make this show, but we don't want to lose it. It's to open for Godmother and number 12.
Ah.
Can you fly out and come do the gig?
Really?
And I was like, hell yeah, that should be sick. So I was already supposed to be there kind of anyway.
Yeah. And
then it was like a week later, Godmother and I worked it out and I was confirmed for the tour.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, I'll be in Indianapolis. I'll see Olam there.
Oh.
So then I was all of a sudden prepping for the Godmother tour and then the Olam set. But this is all 2 weeks before I was redoing the Miss Machine show.
Oh, okay.
So Semaphore was like a weekend to re-rehearsing all of Miss Machine.
And for those listening that are curious as to what he's referencing, Miss Machine being the Dillinger Escape Plan record, last one with Chris Pennie, and y'all did it front to back, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So you were amidst a Chris Pennie wormhole, the second of which.
Yeah, exactly.
The first one of which I imagine was taxing.
Insane. Yeah, that was Halloween of 2018. We covered all of Miss Machine.
Front to back.
Yeah. And then a couple other songs, like we did 43 and Milk Lizard as to like follow up.
Nice.
But I hadn't played the album in like 10 months. And then we all of a sudden kind of decided to do it again. Or really, Seduce decided to do it again. And I went, well, I'm not refusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had that. So this is August 14th or 15th. All these messages are starting to erupt. And the Miss Machine show is on the 25th.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, how many balls are now suddenly in the air? Because relearning Miss Machine is a chore on its own.
Absolutely.
So there was that, and then I had a reggae show to do on Long Island like 4 days later.
Okay.
Of like 3 hours of music.
Really?
So I had to just be listening to that at all, but I couldn't really play it yet. I had to wait until 2 days before the gig. And then after that reggae show, I had another show with Fluoride. And then once September started, I started really shedding the new Arms album.
Okay.
Which I was going to Florida to record 2.5 weeks after that.
Jesus, dude.
So then in between, I had, I think, a show with Semaphore, a show with another band, Detach the Islands,
right,
who is mostly Semaphore.
Mm-hmm.
Flew to Florida, recorded with Arms for a week, come back, had a day, had another show with Semaphore, and then Godmother flew in the 28th. We met on the 29th and 30th and had 2 rehearsals.
Oh.
And then the tour with number 12 started on October 1st.
Jesus, dude.
So I was like learning, I was like transcribing Godmother while I was shedding Arms, and then I was also shedding Godmother, and then once we had finished all the Godmother rehearsals, I was transcribing Olam, and then we started the tour.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, this has been a crazy couple of months.
It sounds like it. It absolutely sounds like it. When it rains, it pours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, though, how just saying yes to a couple of things can inevitably lead to something much larger, and then, the continuing cycle of...
Yeah, just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing where I went, okay, it's going to be possible for me to do all these things, but I have to just, really focus on whatever's directly in front of me and then start... inching towards what's right after that. I can't think 3 things ahead or it's going to be too overwhelming.
Right. And then once you get out and play the shows with Godmother, how did those go once you got out?
They were so fun.
Yeah. That band
so
is such a riot live.
Yeah.
So is Sebastian the vocalist?
That's right.
Yeah, he's such a wild front man.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's amazing. And he reminds me a little bit because he's like kind of floppy and flimsy. He reminds me of those like inflatable, like Gumby, like giant things that they inflate outside of like used or car lots or something. He's like a Swedish version of that.
Yeah, he gets the kind of like Dennis Lyxzén wiriness.
Totally.
Where he's like, you could touch him and he'll just bend and like gyrate all over the place. And that was such a blessing because he was in a way putting on a lot of the show.
Right.
So I didn't have to.
Yeah.
All I had to do was really lock in with Daniel and Max.
Yeah.
And just be really solid. So that was a huge relief. I was like, this guy's just going to go out there and everyone's going to be looking at him and I just have to keep playing correctly.
Right.
You know?
Gotcha. And Daniel's the ginger bass player?
Yeah. He's also so fierce on stage.
Dude,
like,
I don't know that I've ever seen someone headbang more than that guy. It's insane.
yeah, he headbangs like from his hips.
Yeah, it's
You know,
hard.
His whole, like his hair's hitting
The hairs, his
ground
red hair flying. It looks like a pale Viking, you know?
and so wild.
Yeah, yeah. That is good times. Any major fuck ups, any train wrecks, or did you avoid the train wrecks?
Every, like, once in a while there'd be a thing where, you know, a song would get like crisscrossed.
Right.
But really nothing insane.
Good.
You know, we were really able to kill it like
Yeah.
night after night, which was sick.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the times people were just like coming up totally blown away or didn't know I was the fill-in or
Great.
whatever. That was honestly the best compliment I could receive at the show, which was like, I didn't know you were filling in.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's great. And I was just trying to keep up with Mike's parts. Really.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, like I said, I guess to simplify it's got like kind of a grindy D beat thing happening, but there's also like some quirky transitions and some strange stuff going on here and there. But I imagine if you were prepping and learning all of Chris Pennie's stuff, I mean, you want to talk about quirky transitions and crazy parts and insane independence to execute a lot of that stuff. So I mean, I imagine if you could get it in the head of that would suit you for playing a lot of stuff going forward.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, the thing that probably started preparing me the most was when I did that tour with Mutilation Rites.
Okay.
Last year.
Another Brooklyn band.
Yeah. We went to Europe for 3 weeks with Soul Brood from Denmark.
Wow. How was that?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I quit. That was like what started me on my full-time musicness.
Yeah.
Because I quit my job.
What was your job prior to chasing the Dark Lord's tunes?
I was working at FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology, in Manhattan. Yeah, I was in their admissions office.
Okay.
And I was there at like front desk of that whole operation. So
gotcha.
I was like the first forward-facing person anyone would see when they came into the college.
Gotcha.
I think I would physically talk to like 10,000 people a year. It's so nuts.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's pretty ballsy then. How long ago was the Mutilation Rites tour?
It was August and September of 2018.
Okay, so just a little over a year ago, you took the plunge.
That's right.
And you've been able to sustain yourself since then, just doing tours here and there and making it happen?
Yeah. I also do post-production sound work.
Okay.
I was working door at venues. It just became, instead of having one large stream, it was like how many little drips and creeks can I make into that thing?
Plug into the holes.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. But you've been able to do it. Mm-hmm. And you live here in Brooklyn?
That's right.
Right on, man. How old are you?
About to turn 29.
Oh, okay.
In December.
All right. Gotcha. Yeah. You're still young, man. You can do this. You can live like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm approaching my mid 40s, man. I can't quite live like that anymore.
You don't have to.
I don't have to. I did previously, so I did give it a shot.
Sick.
Well, let's go back to that Mutilation Rites tour. Was that going to Europe? Was that your first time touring in Europe?
That's right.
Really? So, what was your impression of it?
It was like the best cultural overload.
Yeah. Right.
The U.S. you tour and you're going to a different state, and there's these very subtle hues of variation. Maybe you get really far out in the country, and if you go somewhere like New Orleans from New York, it's a couple thousand miles. There'll be a really big cultural shift.
Yeah.
But if you go a couple thousand miles in Europe, you might not be in Europe anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So every other day is a different country, a different language, a different entire ensemble to understand and try and digest and acclimate to.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was really beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like being in the History Channel or the Discovery Channel.
It's amazing.
I'm like,
right?
suddenly I'm in a place that I've only seen on the screen.
Yeah.
And now I'm here walking around. So it was really surreal. I was very grateful to be able to do that.
Well, tell me a little bit about diving into this Miss Machine thing, because it's one of the recurring stories that I tell is when I saw Dillinger opening up for the Mr. Bungle tour when they after they had released California, they played the House of Blues in New Orleans, and I was just there to see Mr. Bungle because I was obsessed. I'd been obsessed with them. You know, I saw them on the Disco Volante tour. I was gonna see them on their first tour when they came through New Orleans, and I just didn't make it to that show. But always a huge fan of that band, and I showed up early just to get a good seat on the balcony. It was all general admission, and yeah, this band comes out, the Dillinger Escape Plan, and I was just like, yeah, exactly. What the fuck is this, and who is this drummer, and how is that humanly possible?
Yeah, man. Even today, you watch videos of them at that time, and they're literally reinventing whatever they're doing.
I saw Mastodon open up for Dillinger.
Oh, how ironic.
Yeah,
it's
right?
So crazy.
How ironic is that? But then again, all things considered, and all respect to Mastodon, I don't know many bands that would want to go on after the Dillinger Escape Plan.
That's totally fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who wants to bring them out just because you have to deal with
You got to go on after that? No fucking way, man. It's one of the most terrifying bands you'll ever see.
I saw them open for Deftones, Dillinger.
So did I.
Yeah.
I saw them 2 nights in a row. I saw that, and then the next night they played at the Williamsburg Music Hall, and I went to that show.
Wow.
I saw Dillinger 15 times. Yeah,
That's
I
incredible.
saw him with Chris live maybe 5 times.
Oh, man. I'm so jealous.
Were you ever able to see him with Chris?
I was not even barely cognizant of them when they had Chris.
That's incredible, dude.
I only got into them because of Ironworks.
Wow.
I think I was 15 years old, and I saw the Milk Lizard video, and I went,
Right.
What's going on?
Meanwhile, that's the most accessible song on the
Right,
record.
exactly. And I was like, okay, what's happening with this band? And then I check out the album, and it's like cars fighting each other, and I went, this is sick.
Yeah.
This is so sick.
Yeah, I saw them on that tour as well. I saw them with Gil Sharon. They played one show that I know of in New York, and I was at that show.
Hell
so
yeah.
I did get to see him with Gil. And that as well was awesome. And I don't fully know the story. Maybe you do. To my understanding, Chris had written all the drum parts, and Gil had to come in and learn them, and that's what he played on the record.
Damn.
With his feel, which I think was a little loose, which is great. It's one of the reasons why.
Swinging blast beats.
Right. I love it. And for that, I love it. And I think it's kind of interesting, right? You have Chris, who is like the ultimate technician and just like a brilliant mind. And then created everything that I was saying that he created. And then you got Gil come in, who is a little bit more of a swing in his plan, but still plays the shit out of it. Sounds killer. And then you got Billy, and Billy's kind of in between both of them, I feel like.
Yeah. That's a very good assessment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the eras of the band are determined by the drummers that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Billy was able to do an amazing job of kind of carrying them through the transition they went through with Ironworks.
Yes.
Ironworks is like the portal, and then on the other side is all the Billy records.
Right. Yeah. I love all of them. I love all their stuff. I was always a massive fan.
Yeah, they're one of the few bands who's never really put out a bad record.
Never. And I mean, it was nice to have enough faith in someone to be like, I'm getting it. If they're putting it out, I'm getting it.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I don't need to hear it.
I know.
I know. I have confidence that whatever it is they're going to deliver, it's going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. I can't say that about many bands,
Well, no one's really been so consistent or innovative.
Yeah.
Or really consistently innovative.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like, I'm not getting the same record twice.
Right.
I might know it's a Dillinger record, but it's not going to be another Calculating, another Miss Machine, another this or that.
No.
It's going to be whatever the next hell they're on to.
Oh my God, I love it, dude.
Anyway, to actually answer your questions about Chris.
Yeah.
The prep work for doing Miss Machine was, at least we'll just talk about the first time because that's really where the most prep came in.
Yeah.
The second time it was kind of going back to my notebooks and going, the hell was he doing?
Were you transcribing a lot of stuff?
Had to.
Yeah.
Had to, absolutely.
Wow.
I bought his book too.
I didn't even know Chris put a book out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think if I remember correctly, it's Polyrhythmic Potential. And
Wow.
it has transcriptions of like half the Miss Machine songs, so that helped immensely. I could just go, it's like Panasonic, Sunshine, Phone Home,
Yeah.
Baby's First Coffin,
Right.
and Setting Fire.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Setting Fire to Sleeping Giants, is it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Baby's First Coffin was the most necessary piece of sheet music that he had because of the ending. Because the ending is so messed up.
I would have to listen to it to recall it. But I'll after we stop this, I'll listen to it to try to see what you're referencing specifically.
Yeah, it's the part. It's like ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do do ba do ba do
Oh.
ba do ba do ba do do ba do ba do. That whole thing. That's like a minute of that pattern, just like cycling and getting crazier and crazier.
Oof.
You know, if I didn't have the work that Chris and Joe Bergamini put in already on that part, it probably would have taken me like just as long to figure out.
Absolutely.
You know, because there's like patterns within patterns that it's obvious that Chris has internalized some kind of rhythms, and then he's able to just automatically extrapolate from them.
Yes.
Because he's not playing exercises. He's playing the I've played this exercise for 5 years part.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, and he had a lot of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Van Damsel is a perfect example.
Right.
I think that's the most intense version of his Morse code blasts.
Uh-huh.
Because it has a polyrhythm going on in the China. Right, so the China's playing this.
Right.
And then the
Like
snare.
some triplet thing across that or something.
Yeah, it's like a 2/3.
Yeah.
Right, so the China's always doing this. The snare drum's doing this speed, but then the snare drum and the kick are broken up.
Right.
While the China's doing
Yeah.
that. So you have this like in and out with the China back and forth. And that part probably took our band, the longest to learn.
Really?
Because it took everyone's collective knowledge to understand a piece of it and then go, oh, wait, I got these 2 seconds. He's really doing but up after this group of accents.
Right.
Okay. And then what did you figure out? It was like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you know, whatever it is. And then we'll put that together and then okay, it repeats, but then it's like flipped over the second time. And then, we figured it out. It was like
Right.
it took a village to figure out 30 seconds of Dillinger.
Piecing the puzzle together.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit. There's such amazing footage, if the listeners haven't seen it, of Chris playing Panasonic Youth in like a guitar store. There's a
the
couple
video's
of them.
legendary, yeah.
Dude, it's, if there's anyone that has not seen that, do yourself a favor and just go watch him rip to shreds that shit. It's so amazing. And to this day, when I think of like quintessential Dillinger songs, that one has always been one for me. Just I mean, the opening track, bam, right into it.
Greg gives you one word to
One
realize
word.
what's happening.
And
then
you're about
boom!
to get the shrapnel right in your ear hole.
Weak.
Yeah, that's it. And they're just tearing it up. Oh, man, that's amazing.
Those videos specifically really helped me learn Panasonic Youth.
Yeah,
I was like, and then if you learn Panasonic and you learn Sunshine, you kind of understand what's going to happen throughout the rest of the record in a lot of ways. Those two really set the tone for what Chris is laying out after that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's always sort of recurring themes, little themes and slight derivations thereof throughout their catalog. You know, that is quintessential Dillinger-isms, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But of course, as you said, they always found ways to elaborate on it, switch it up, turn it, flip it, you know, different. That's what always made it so exciting. And then to boot, they still have to try to execute all that crazy shit and throw on the craziest show ever. It's like, why would I not go see this band?
Yeah. And it's not that they're not just playing the most technical thing you've ever heard. They're doing it upside down, and there's fire, their shit's in half, and Ben is throwing himself into the drums, and it's nuts, man.
Unbelievable. What a crazy experience. I'm so glad that I got to see them. I feel like that's one of those things that I'll, like, if I met somebody and they're like, yeah, I saw King Crimson like a dozen times back in the day, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Let's go have a drink. You need to tell me about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe in 15 years or so, I'll be saying, yeah, I saw Dillinger 15 times.
You'll be the oral historian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you one more funny Dillinger story. I brought one of my buddies. I was always telling people, I'm like, dude, I've seen this band so many times. If you don't need to know anything about them, just go see him. Get a ticket. Let's go.
Yeah.
So one of my, I went with like a group of friends that didn't really know anything about him just to go see it. And and one of these guys
man.
showed up with like penny loafers and like a sweater. He had just gone to like a PTA meeting or something like that, like total dad out. And he ended up in the pit and he lost one of his loafers in the pit. And he's like walking around in a sock and some guy, because he's the only one dressed like that there. Somebody was like, dude, got your shoe. And he got his fucking shoe back.
That is amazing. And I'm sure everyone in the crowd is like, you better watch out for this guy.
The dad.
He's the hardest one in here.
Yeah, right.
Because he's showing up to this like this.
Like that. Oh my God, it was so funny.
There was a show on the recent Fluoride tour where one of the audience members probably just came from work.
Yeah.
And they were, in their full business casual.
Yeah.
And they were moshing harder than anyone. They were just like wrecking shit. And it was so sick. I'm like, this person knows what is up. They don't care.
Amazing.
They came for it.
That's right. That's right, man.
One thing I will say about this Miss Machine show and, diving into this material so deeply and so intensely, I had a very similar experience when I was playing in a Blink-182 tribute band, which is seemingly the least related thing ever, but the most related.
In the sense that of just learning something very specific from front to back.
Right, because think about the intensity of Blink-182 fans. Mm-hmm. Especially their old stuff, which was mostly all we played. We played mostly Dude Ranch, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and Enema. Mm-hmm. Like, pretty much stuck to those albums, played a errant song here or there. Yeah. But those records are like 20 years old. Those people have lived with them since childhood, and they've only the intensity of the fandom just ferments. It only gets deeper and deeper, right?
Right. So the expectations are very specific.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're not playing what they've heard their whole lives on an album, which is in a vacuum and never changes, then you've failed.
Right.
And you've failed them and everything that they've experienced. Yeah. So it might seem like a huge weight to put on seemingly simple music like Blink-182. I mean, the drum parts are bananas, but that was the intent that I went into it with. It was like, I need to basically honor your whole life experience with these records because this is how much it means to you.
Right. So yet another previous experience lending itself to one further down the line.
Yeah, and Dillinger is just that times 10 because not only are you messing with people's emotions and all their past experiences with Dillinger, because those fans are so intense, like a lifestyle.
Totally.
Like in techie music community, might see this stuff and be like, well, man, you missed that. You really messed up those Chris Pennie parts. Like, you're a chump.
Right.
So you can't do that.
Can't be having that.
Right. And it was, like I might have said it before, but it was like perfection or nothing. Or as close to perfection as I could get because I'm not Chris.
Right.
But, I was either going to honor Chris's stuff and honor Miss Machine completely, like 100,000% dedication, or I wasn't even going to go there.
I hear you. That's the way to do it. That's what you have to. Tell me a little bit about your backstory on drumming in general.
Sure. So I did grow up in a half musical house. My dad is also a drummer.
Okay. Pop Ceglia. That's
Ceglia? Right. Ceglia, yeah. Just pretend there's an S, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
And my uncle is also a drummer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, brothers. So I grew up in a house, essentially full of drums, but when I was five, I went up to my dad and told him I wanted to play guitar, and then he looked right in my eyes and said, "No."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And he said, "You have to learn how to play piano first, so you can learn how to read.
Oh.
And then you can do whatever." And I was, I'm a little kid, so I went, "Great, whatever gets me to play guitar, I guess."
So you took piano lessons?
Yeah.
Did it suck?
It was kind of rough.
Yeah, bad.
But, Dad having foresight that I couldn't foresee.
Yeah.
It's totally right. He's also dyslexic, so he can't read music.
No shit.
Yeah. So he knew that if I was able to read, I would have an edge.
So dyslexia is not just letters per se; it's symbols.
Symbols.
Things get
it's just
jumbled.
Symbols in general. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, I think some people is specifically numbers or this or that.
I could see that.
But cymbals.
No pun intended. Jesus, that was
Hey!
badoosh.
So anyway, Dad coming with his infinite wisdom.
Yeah.
Is like no guitar, piano. So I did piano for a couple of years. Really wasn't like into it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't something I like threw off the chains of. Mm-hmm. But I just moved on to something else as soon as I could, and that was the drums.
Nice.
The drums were just nearby.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a hold of a snare drum and started playing in band in grammar school. I was in like 3rd grade or something.
Wow.
And then because I could read, I went from the beginner band to the advanced band in a week.
I bet.
And I was playing with 8th graders like right away. You know?
That's awesome.
So that was really, I was like, oh, okay, I see you, Dad. I get it.
He hooked you up.
Yeah. So then it was like my relationship with the drums for a little while was like someone who's really good at track, but doesn't really care about track. I was just, I had something going. So I said, well, I stick with it.
Yeah.
But this isn't my, like life's calling or anything intense like that.
Yeah.
Until I really hit high school. And I was playing sports the whole time. I was playing soccer and baseball and basketball.
All 3.
Yeah.
Damn.
Soccer more just like intramural stuff, but baseball and basketball like really intently playing. And then I got to high school, which was like 2,600 kids in the school.
Wow. Is that on Long Island?
Long Island, baby.
All right.
St. Anthony's High School. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got there and the sports were insanely competitive.
Yeah, Long Island is notorious for this.
Well, there's like 125 kids trying out for 12 spots on the basketball team.
Wow.
Minimum 6 days a week practice, no vacation. And went, I love sports, but not like this.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't fun. So I kind of dumped sports, and I was in an Air Force program at the time called Civil Air Patrol.
Okay.
And so I was much more dedicated to that and playing. So then once I turned 13 or 14, I really just like set out on the mission of playing and getting better. And I was already taking private lessons and everything.
Okay.
And then my parents' house had a full basement that essentially
that's
Dad
crucial.
had like taken over. And there was a stage in it. And
No way.
Our two drum sets were set up side by side.
So you would like play drums side by side with your dad?
No.
Oh, really?
No, we butted heads with the drums for so long.
That's amazing.
While I was younger. Yeah, because I wanted to play really fast and loud and crazy, and he was like, "You need to learn how to feel," and I went, "Fuck you." I was like, I can feel Madison Square Garden coming. Right?
Exactly. That's hilarious, man. But you were taking lessons as well?
Yeah.
Who'd you take lessons with?
It was a local guy.
Okay.
It wasn't like super intense drum study or anything.
It was just like what do you want to play?
Yeah, and it was his name was Joe, and Joe and I would jam a lot. He was also a drummer, but he was also a keyboard player, and he could play all kinds of stuff. So
that's cool.
We were playing together
Interesting.
all the time.
So you were learning to play with a musician and taking a lesson of drums, so that's twofold.
Yeah, so I was really came up in drums playing with someone else rather than like shedding alone.
Yeah, that's pretty crucial.
So that was it was a huge, especially when I got to Berklee, that was like a big kind of like culture change.
Oh, I didn't know you went to Berklee.
Yeah, I decided I was applying for colleges, and I was either set on music or aerospace engineering.
Wow.
So I applied to Berklee, and then I applied to a bunch of other schools like Columbia and NYU and stuff, and I got into Berklee, and I went, this is really where I want to be. So I'm going there.
Not aerospace engineering.
Yeah.
Oh, you fucked up.
Probably. Probably. Sorry, Mom.
How was Berklee?
The total circus.
I bet.
And it was just like super wild, hyper compressed time.
Yeah.
I was living in Back Bay for the first year, which is like right where the school is in Boston. Mm-hmm. But I think within the first couple of weeks, I went to a show in Alston, the neighborhood slightly
I got
down the
that live
road.
in Alston.
Yeah, and I went into a basement, and I was like, I need to be here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I moved out there as quickly as I could with
Alston's
a bunch
cool.
of friends, and just started getting into the basement scene and throwing shows and making a mess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that some of your early bands? Like what? Or did you play in bands prior to that?
I had one band in high school.
Yeah.
And then I played with some other, when I was a freshman, I was playing with seniors in high school and stuff, and like whatever they were doing. But I had my own band in high school, and that fell apart when everyone went to college. I actually had a record deal. We had a record deal thrown in front of us, but I decided to go to school, and then the band fell apart
Oh, well, damn.
Yeah. But then everyone in the band like fell apart individually.
Yeah.
And then went their own ways. So it was like, oh, okay, dodged an early bullet.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once I got to college, I started playing in like as many bands as I could. It was just like you could honestly just throw a rock and whoever 4 people it hit, you could start a band with them. Like that was the culture at school, which ruled because that's all I really wanted to do was play in bands and everything. I had a different major. I was majored in electronic production and design.
Okay.
So I wasn't a exclusively drum focused in studying. Mm-hmm. But I think by the time I left college, I was in 5 bands.
Wow.
At once. But in my first year of school is where I started Autocatalytica.
Oh, okay.
Autocatalytica.
Super cool band. You sent me a link for that stuff.
Yeah, thanks
Is there
for listening.
a Canadian connection with that band?
Yeah, Eric Thorfinson, who's the main nexus of the band, is from Toronto.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so I only would have met him by being at school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you made all these connections, play with all these bands, got super busy, and cut your teeth, so to speak. It sounds like, and learning all that stuff. It's funny, having studied a good bit. I never went to school specifically for music, but while in college, I was always going to the drum instructors and taking semesters of lessons and stuff.
Oh, great.
And but it's funny, the stuff that I studied, I've certainly forgotten a lot of it. But a lot of it took some time to just sort of naturally permeate my playing. I like to tell people that if you're studying and you're thinking, what am I ever going to do with this shit? Which in today's world, there's more outlets for it, more extreme music, more ability to try to incorporate electronic stuff. You can use chops for that. It's way more like, 20 years ago, if you were learning a lot of this stuff, I feel like people would be like, well, are you going to be like Dave Weckl, or are you going to try to do like, Vinnie Colaiuta? Or are you going to put out instructional? Who are you going to play with? Because there aren't any gigs that are going to let you play like that.
Was this actually the same major that Chris had at Berklee?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a huge fan of Chris. This is what Chris is studying. I'm already leaning towards this. Like, this is hugely inspiring.
That's wild.
Yeah. I've just been on your heels, Chris, for you don't even know how long.
And then at some point, so then you're in college. Did you end up graduating?
I did.
You did.
The most long-lasting piece of knowledge with drumming was something I gained with Mike Mangini. I was lucky enough to study with him for 2 semesters. Yeah.
Did you get some hand technique from him?
The thing I got the most from him was how to transcribe and learn songs quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's served me more than any chops.
No shit.
Yeah. Because I have sub in a lot of bands like we were talking about, Godmother and all these things. So, and even the Dillinger stuff, like the way to learn the songs efficiently and have the information like compartmentalized enough where you can read it and internalize it and then know it is something I got from Mike, and I use it to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So big shout out to Mike Mangini, wherever you are, in your Dream Theater excursion.
With your giant spaceship drum set?
Yeah, I love it. It's so great.
It's so insane when I see that thing. And I'm like, how? I mean, I would love to sit behind it just to toy around, but
yeah, just like more pedals than you could even like think to put your feet on, and
I know, right?
4 snare drums and 4 hi-hats. So sick.
Holy moly. That's really interesting now. Once again, it's great that you learned something like that was actually vital later on, and that you would weigh on to get you through some of these gigs with minimal practice time, minimal turnaround time.
Yeah, indispensable.
Yeah.
Like we were mentioning earlier that I also played with Olam in the middle of the tour with Godmother. I had to transcribe their set and then just hang on to it without playing it ever.
Oh, wow.
The first time I played it was at the show.
Wow, dude.
And I was like, had the music stand out there, was reading the
charts on for a
hardcore gig.
That I've never seen that in my life. Never seen that.
It was hilarious.
Amazing.
Yeah. Or it was the only way I was going to be able to do the show.
I would be laughing my ass off if I saw somebody like reading charts on a hardcore gig. That is hilarious.
And it was luckily they're such a good band that all I had to do was, this is what I need to play. I'm just going to do it and trust them.
Yeah.
We sounded like a freaking band.
That's amazing.
I did the same thing for Godmother. Yeah. I wasn't reading charts on the gigs. I had enough practice time to shed the stuff, but certainly in those couple of rehearsals, I had the shit out, like all laid out, and it's especially just to check.
Right.
Because if you're messing something up or they're, where are you? You're lost or something. You could say, I could just go. You go right to it.
Yeah.
It takes away a lot of the guessing, which takes up a lot of your time.
Oh, so much of it.
Yeah.
Just the miscommunication of it all. People refer to different things as different ways. They have different perceptions of it, nomenclature, you name it. You can just run yourself in circles for a half hour to an hour just on miscommunication. No one's talking about the same fucking thing.
Right.
It's crazy. So having that specificity is important. I get it. Damn, Mike Mangini, hooking your boy up. Yeah. Between your dad and Mike Mangini, making it happen.
I hope I get to see Mike again at some point, because I haven't seen him since school, but
wow,
I just love to tell him that.
Absolutely. Well, going forward, what do you have going on the plate, man? Just continuing as many gigs without driving yourself crazy and overextending yourself?
Well, there's no shortage of driving myself nuts, but I've kind of signed up for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. So, it is the life you have chosen to live, my friend.
Yes. Yeah, and I would have reflected on that a bit, and I would rather have that to stress over than the stress of a regular job if I can help it.
Absolutely, because in the end, this benefits you, and you're working for you. You're working for yourself. Yeah,
and the more crazy stuff I say yes to, the more it comes in. So
exactly.
But what's next? I'm looking at a new Semaphore album.
Okay.
We have a bunch of songs written that we're ready to workshop and do pre-pro on, and then kind of trim it down and see what the record is going to be, and then put that out next year. Detach the Islands and Semaphore put out albums this year.
Nice.
Which is really incredible. And I was behind the mixing board on both of those too.
So starting to work in some of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I have most of a new Detach the Islands album written. So hopefully we can start learning that next year. Hopefully maybe record within a year. Fluoride's writing new material, and then hopefully we were talking about a West Coast tour. So hopefully all those Flouride fans in California who are yelling will get to you.
Nice.
And then Olam and I have been discussing doing their new record, so waiting to hear from those guys and see what their new material is like. Their album just came out this year. It's really sick.
Okay.
It's kind of gotten to like a resurgence of hype.
Yeah.
Zegma Beach just picked it up for a press, and people are starting to interview Jake again, and it's like they have a second hype cycle like 6 months later.
Nice.
Like I mentioned before, I recorded the new Arms album. Really looking forward to see what happens with that, and see where those guys take that music. It's gonna be sick. It's
awesome.
gonna be really sick.
Best of luck going forward. Sounds like you got no shortage of work ahead, but hey, man, you're diving in head first. It's the way to do it.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Emmett for hanging and doing a bit of a deep dive on a mutual favorite drummer and Chris Pennie. It's definitely great talking to him and picking his brain about the process of learning some of that crazy shit. Good times indeed. Dude plays in a million bands. Keep your tabs on him. He rips. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.